Hey guys, welcome back to another video in the r/pettyrevenge subreddit. If you're new to this channel, petty revenge stories are one of my favorites, if not my most favorite, because I too am an active participant in petty revenge. I'll admit it's one of my bad traits, but I just can't not sneakily one-up someone if they deserve it. I'm sorry, okay? Screw off, teacher. Back in the mid-90s, I went to a local comprehensive and had the same teacher for science in years 7 and 8. My teacher, Mrs. Gooney, as that's what we called her, and I don't remember her real name, was one of those who'd been teaching for years and hated kids. She seemed to take pleasure in just being nasty and downright rude to me. So much so that at parent-teacher night in year 8, she told my parents I was possibly the stupidest child she had ever dealt with, and I was completely unteachable. This was the final straw for my parents. They knew I hated the school and was being bullied mercilessly. A year earlier, my dad was offered a role over in Moscow, and they looked at a boarding school for me as we'd been returning at the end of year 10. Middle of my GCSEs. He'd ultimately turned it down, but now the school came back into play, and after passing the entry test, I joined at the start of year 9. In the UK, we used to have SATs in years 2, 6, and 9. These covered math, English, and science. So come the end of my first year at my new school, I sat the exams. A few weeks later and the results come out. The vast majority of kids would score at level 5 or 6. Those who were struggling would get 4, and the more advanced kids a 7. There were even rumors that the smartest of the smart could get a level 8. I scored 777. Not bad for the unteachable thicko. As we were a boarding school and had class on Saturdays, we broke out 3 weeks before the state schools did. So first Monday back home, my mom offers to drive me down to my old school and pay Mrs. Gooney a visit. Yes, I may be petty, but nothing compared to my mom. The joy I felt walking up to her class. Going in and in front of 30 of her students saying, "Hi Gooney, do you remember me? The stupidest child you've ever met? Here's my SATs. All 7s, you cow." I then turned to the class and said, "Don't worry, you're not dumb. She's just the worst teacher in the world," before walking out with my head held high. That was good, but then I took my GCSEs. Thanks to my SAT scores, I got to take separate sciences rather than double award. This meant I got a GSCE each for biology, chemistry, and physics rather than just 2 total for the 3 of them. When the results came out, I had 2 A's and 1 C. Well, that was it. Time for a repeat performance. Thankfully, 6th form started after the rest of the schools went back, so I got to walk into her classroom yet again. Even better, the kids were all year 7s on their first day at big school. So with the biggest grin on my face, I went, "Me again, Gooney. The stupidest child you've ever met. Thought you'd like to see my A grades this time. Good thing I had teachers actually capable of teaching. Hey kids, make sure you get your parents to demand you be moved to a class with a competent teacher." I did have to run out of there that time as her screeching attracted other teachers. I hate teachers like this. Why become a teacher if A, you hate children, and B, are just going to choose favorites? Now, I graduated high school 9 years ago, but I will always remember that specific teachers hated me as well. Because if you haven't noticed this yet, I'm pretty quick-witted and sarcastic, which they did not like. I also never did homework or participated much, but always managed to pull high test scores out of my butt, which they also did not like. My salty English teacher never gave me higher than a 60% on my essays, but when I wrote my diploma, and those of you who have written diplomas know they get graded by different teachers to keep things neutral, I got an 85. That diploma and impartial teacher that graded that essay was the reason I passed English. I guess the moral of this story is that if you're listening to this and you're still in high school and have people beating you down, whether it be teachers or even fellow schoolmates, don't let anyone tell you what your worth is because you're better than that, and just keep your head high and remember your morals, because high school is such a small fraction of your life, and once you're done, it all becomes irrelevant and you will never look back. I can embarrass you more. When they were younger, my kids would argue about everything, and I mean everything. Who sat where, who went through a door first, who got to pat the dog first. They didn't care where they were. If it could be argued over, they would argue. It would start as a verbal argument, but would often end up in pushing and shoving. As well as being annoying, it could also be embarrassing when we were in a public place, especially as both my kids are tall and looked a lot older than they were. So at 10 and 8, they looked 14 and 12. Although this makes them sound like brats, they weren't. When they weren't arguing about stupid stuff, they got on really well and were and are good kids. And most of the time I accepted it as a phase. But the day came when I had enough. They'd argue from the moment I met them at the school gate, through getting into the car, the journey to the supermarket, getting out of the car, and walking up to the store and trolley bay. Cue a new argument about who could push the trolley. They both grabbed it, got inside the entrance, and stopped close to where people were both entering and leaving, i.e., where there was a large audience. They then start to literally fight over who should push the trolley. They were each trying to push the other's hand off the handle, shouldering each other out of the way, and doing the whole, "Mom, it's my turn, Mom, make him stop," etc., etc. People had started to do that thing where they are walking really slowly past us while pretending not to notice. So I sat down on the floor and I started to sing. I can't remember what the song was, but I really can't and should not sing. I'm completely tuneless and don't even sing in the shower as I offend my own ears. Now people did stop and openly stare. My kids didn't notice straight away. It took a few minutes for the sound of my singing to percolate through their arguing. When it finally did, they realized that they were surrounded by a group of people and their mother was sitting on the floor singing really, really badly. My daughter hissed at me, "Mom, what are you doing? Stop it. It's really embarrassing." And I said, "Yep, it sucks, doesn't it?" Then I got up off the floor, bowed to the audience of shoppers, grabbed a trolley, and walked off to the veg aisle, whistling a merry little tune. It was a sweet, sweet moment. This mom is an absolute legend. She's also a genius because thus forward, if her kids started arguing in public again, she could just clear her throat and be like, "You kids want another show?" To which they'd scream in horror, "No!" To which mom replies, "That's what I thought." My plan for when I have kids is to just use the Santa excuse all year. Even if it's in March and my kid is acting up, I'll be like, "Do you want coal this year? Smarten up, damn it, or you'll be on the naughty list." Which I'm pretty sure is why Santa was even created, right? To make kids behave. So might as well use it to my advantage. Self-inflicted petty revenge? This happened in the late 80s/early 90s. I worked in an office that had a fair number of young secretaries. There were 2 secretaries named Bella. They were the same age and started at about the same time. One was very laid back and competent. She was also petite and slim. The other was very insecure and loved playing mean girls. Bella 2 hated that Bella 1 existed. It was really like working in a high school. At some point into their employment, having 2 identically named people in an office that did not give secretary's last name became an issue. Bella 2 started campaigning to nickname Bella 1 Little Bella. Bella 1 didn't care and Bella felt good for taking her competition with a condescending nickname. Yes, you guessed the revenge and who got wounded. The office went with Little Bella just fine and promptly dubbed the second one Big Bella. That was her name for at least the 3 years I worked in that office. She just could not bully her way out of that nickname. Now that is what I call instant karma, and I love it. I guarantee that Bella number 2, aka Big Bella, peaked in high school and then just never got out of that mean girl phase, which is really unfortunate and I hate when that happens. But anyways, I do hope that you enjoyed those 3 petty revenge stories. I definitely did. And if you did too, please leave a like and subscribe if you want. I truly appreciate it, and I will see you in the next Reddit stories. Bye!